Hello everyone, Jonathan Schlack, EAS&Weather here with a severe weather update. I'm actually going to have a separate video addressing the Day 2 outlook. This one's going to address the Day 1 outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. I tried doing Days 1 and 2 in one video, but it ended up being more than 10 minutes, and my screen recording app doesn't allow me to record for over 10 minutes unless I upgrade to the premium, which would cost money. So I do not want to upgrade to the premium since it costs money, and I don't want to spend money on that. So this one's going to address Day 1, and I'm going to have a separate video on Day 2 soon. So anyway, this is the Day 1 outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. We have an enhanced risk for severe weather that covers southeastern Iowa, the far northeastern corner of Kansas, northern Missouri, and the west central part of Illinois. That's where we have an enhanced risk for severe weather today. And we have a slight risk for severe weather that covers east central Colorado, the northeastern part of the Texas Panhandle, portions of northwest Oklahoma, and portions of the Oklahoma Panhandle, southwestern, central, and northeastern Kansas, the far southeastern corner of Nebraska, central Iowa, northwestern and central, the northwestern corner and central part of Missouri, much of the northern half of Illinois, northwestern Indiana, the northwestern corner of Ohio, and the southern half of Michigan, much of the southern half of Michigan for that slight today. And we have a marginal that covers the southeastern corner of Wyoming, extreme southwestern and southeastern Nebraska, eastern Colorado, northwestern Kansas, as well as the extreme southwestern corner of Kansas and southeastern Kansas, the western part of the Oklahoma Panhandle, northwest Oklahoma, and much of the Texas Panhandle. And we have a marginal that covers central Iowa, as well as central Missouri, central Illinois, and the extreme northwestern corner of Illinois, southeastern or southern Wisconsin, I should say, much of the northern half of Michigan, the extreme southeastern corner of Michigan, central Indiana, and northwestern Ohio for that marginal. We also have a marginal risk in South Florida for today, so from those tropical downpours down there. Going over to the tornado threat today, we have a 5% chance of an isolated tornado in... Oops, why did they just update on me? Anyway, there we go. We have a 5% chance of an isolated tornado in southeastern Iowa, northern Missouri, and west central Illinois. For that 5% risk of an isolated tornado, and we have a 2% chance of an isolated tornado in far southeastern Nebraska, northeastern Kansas, central and east central Iowa, much of northern Missouri, much of the northern half of Illinois, much of Michigan, northwestern Indiana, and the extreme northwestern corner of Ohio. For that 2% risk of an isolated tornado, we have a 2% chance of an isolated tornado in far southern Florida for today. So, going over to the wind aspect, we have a 30% chance of wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or higher in far southeastern Iowa, far northeastern Kansas, in southeastern Iowa, northeastern Kansas, northern Missouri, and west central Illinois. That's where we have a 30% chance of wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or higher. We have a 15% chance of wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or higher in east central Colorado, southwestern, central, and northeastern Kansas, the extreme southeastern corner of Nebraska, the eastern half of the Panhandle of Oklahoma, northwestern Oklahoma, northeastern Panhandle of Texas, south central and southeastern Iowa, the far northwestern corner and central part of Missouri, much of the northern half of Illinois, the extreme southeastern corner of Wisconsin, southern half of Michigan, northern Indiana, and far northwestern Ohio. And we have a 5% chance of 58 mile per hour wind gusts or higher in extreme southeastern Wyoming, the extreme southwestern part and southeastern part of Nebraska, much of eastern Colorado, northwestern Kansas, the extreme southwestern part of Kansas and southeastern Kansas, the western part of the Oklahoma Panhandle, much of the Texas Panhandle, and northwestern part of Oklahoma, central Iowa, central Missouri, the far northwestern part of Illinois, central Illinois, southeastern Wisconsin, much of the northern half of Michigan and far southeastern corner of Michigan, central Indiana, and northwestern Ohio. And if you look at the black dashed areas, we have a 10% chance of hurricane-force wind gusts in central Kansas, northeastern Kansas, the extreme southeastern corner of Nebraska, southeastern Iowa, northern Missouri, much of northern Illinois, and northwestern Indiana, far northwestern Indiana, for that 10% chance of hurricane-force wind gusts of 74 miles per hour or higher, again within the black dashed areas. And we have a 5% chance of 58 mile per hour wind gusts or higher in South Florida for today. And here's the hail threat. We have a 30% chance of 1 inch in diameter hail or larger in southeastern Iowa, northern Missouri, the extreme northeastern corner of Kansas, and northwestern Illinois. We have a 15% chance of 1 inch in diameter hail or larger in central and northeastern Kansas, southeastern Nebraska, central Iowa, northern Missouri, northern Illinois, southwestern Michigan, and northwestern Indiana. We have a 5% chance of 1 inch hail or larger in far southeastern Wyoming, far southwestern and southeastern Nebraska, northeastern Colorado, much of Kansas, the eastern half of the Oklahoma Panhandle, northwestern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas Panhandle, central Iowa, central Missouri, central part of Illinois, the far northwestern part of Illinois, southern Wisconsin, parts of northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, and much of Michigan. And the black dashed areas in far southeastern Nebraska, southeastern Iowa, northern Illinois, northern Missouri, and northwestern Indiana is where we have a 10% chance of 2 inch in diameter hail or larger within the black dashed area. And severe thunderstorms are expected late this afternoon and early evening across parts of southern Iowa into northern Missouri and northern and central Illinois. Very large hail, destructive wind gusts, and a couple of tornadoes all appear possible. A broader corridor of severe hail and wind potential will extend from portions of the southern and central high plains to the Great Lakes. So, anyway, stay safe in the affected areas today, and stay tuned for a separate video that will address the Day 2 outlook. So anyway, pay attention to later watches and warnings today.